In this lesson here I will talk about four scales that you can use over diminished chords. So it's the 8-tone scale, the mother scale of diminished, and it's the harmonic minor scale, harmonic major, and the whole half diminished scale. So which scale is the best for diminished chords, and how do you find the scales? How are they constructed? And are there a big difference between the scales? And can you say the scales are related? So that's some questions I will try to answer in this lesson here. So here we have C major 7, C sharp diminished 7 and D minor 7. And it's 1 major 7 going to the sharp 1 diminished 7 to 2 minor 7. So this is a common progression in jazz where you have this sharp 1 diminished 7 chord. So what can we play over this chord? First of all, there is a primary scale, and how we can find that primary scale is that we first take the chord tones from the C sharp diminished 7. So the chord tones are C sharp, E, G, A sharp. And then we can add the scale tones from C major because this progression is in C major. And then we add the chord tones. So we have the C sharp, we add the D from the C major scale. We have the E here, so we don't have to add that. We add the F, we have the G already, and then we add the A from the C major scale. We have the A sharp here, same as B flat, and then we add the C. So now we have an 8-tone scale. So this scale is available for the C sharp diminished chord, so we can use that. But we have to be a little careful because we have two avoid notes, which are D and F, and it don't sound so good when we just are playing them for a long time in a bar or we are landing on them, but we can use them as passing notes. And just let's take the scale. It's C sharp, D, E, F, G, A sharp, C. So the scale we just constructed is the primary 8-tone scale for the C sharp diminished chord. So it's the 1 sharp diminished. And if we play it here, so we play it from C sharp, C, D, E, F, G, A sharp, C, C sharp again, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C sharp. So let's try to hear it over a C sharp diminished chord. So it sounds okay when we play it in a pattern with, for example, 8 note or triplets or 16 notes. We have two avoid notes. We have the D and the F. So let's try to hear how it sounds. The D and the F. But when we play it together with other notes, it sounds okay. Let's try to construct a line where we play over the C major 7 and the C sharp diminished and the D minor 7 chord. Okay. The line I just played is this. So I start with the third on the C major 7, down to the ninth, down to the major 7 on the C major 7, and then the root, and then into the C sharp diminished where I start with the root and the flat 9, flat 3, flat 5 into flat 3 on the D minor 7. Here's the line I just played. So we have a chord tone E on the C major 7 to the 9th, to the major 7th, and then to the root and into C sharp diminished 7. We have the root here and the flat 9, the D, the avoid note, and the E, and we have the G, the flat 5. So 2 chord tones, flat 3, flat 5, to the F, which are the flat 3 of the D minor 7 chord. So it's not a problem to use the D here, the avoid note, because it's in a cell, it's a pattern, so no problem here. But when you play it alone, it doesn't sound good. We can also use the D harmonic minor scale when we play over the C sharp diminished chord, because the D harmonic minor scale has the same tones as the primary 8-tone scale except from the C. When we take a closer look at the D harmonic minor scale, it has avoid notes D and F, so it's the same with the primary 8-tone scale. They are just at the 2nd and the 4th degree. So that's a reason for we can use the D harmonic minor scale, because it has the same tones except from the C. Another reason is that the D harmonic minor is the first scale degree of the harmonic minor, and if we take the D harmonic minor and we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we will get the C sharp. And if we construct a scale from the C sharp, you can see here we will get the altered dominant double flat 7 scale. And if we spell out every second scale tone, we will get the C sharp diminished 7. So we will have C sharp, the E, and the G, and the A sharp. And you can see they are here: C sharp, E, G, A sharp. So that's why we can use the harmonic minor over the C sharp diminished 7 chord. Remember to subscribe and press the notification button. Let's take a closer view at the D harmonic minor scale. You can play it here from the 5th fret. So you play D, E, F, G, A sharp, C sharp, D. So the only difference is that we don't play the C as we did before. So before we played from C sharp, so it's almost the same fingering. But we had the C, and then the C sharp, and then the D. So let's try to hear how it sounds over the C sharp diminished chord. So now we play just D harmonic minor. The scale sounds okay, but we can't play the D and the F for a long time, because then it will sound dissonant. Let's hear it. And F. But when we play it together with other notes, it's okay. Let's try to construct a line with the D harmonic minor scale. We play over C major 7 and C sharp diminished 7 and D minor 7. One time more. So here is the line that I just played. So I play G and E, 2 chord tones, the 5th and the 3rd, in relation to C major 7 and the 9th. And in relation to C sharp diminished 7, I have the root and double flat 7, which are the same as the major 6th. So it's the A sharp, and then we have the flat 6, the A, and the G flat 5, a chord tone, resolved to the flat 3, which are the F in D minor 7. Another scale to look at is the D harmonic major scale. You can also use that when you play over C sharp diminished 7. This scale has just one avoid note, and it's the same tones as in the C sharp Locrian double flat 7, because D harmonic major is the first scale degree, and if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we have the 7th scale degree, and if we take the 7th and put it here, we make the scale with the same notes. We have C sharp Locrian double flat 7, and we can spell out a chord. We can spell the C sharp diminished 7. We have C sharp, E, and G, and A sharp. So the chord tones in C sharp diminished 7. So we can use D harmonic major when we play over C sharp diminished 7. When we compare D harmonic major with D harmonic minor, there is one difference, and it is that we have F sharp in D harmonic major, and we have the F in D harmonic minor, so a major third and a minor third. So just one avoid note here, the D, and two avoid notes in harmonic minor, the D and the F. When we compare D harmonic major to the primary 8-tone scale that we covered in the beginning, there is two differences, and it is that we have a C in the primary 8-tone scale. We don't have a C here, we have only the C sharp, and we have still the F here in the primary 8-tone scale, but we have the F sharp here. So there is a difference between the F and the F sharp, and this scale has 8 tones and this scale here has only 7, because there is also a C in the primary 8-tone scale. Let's try to hear the D harmonic major scale over the C sharp diminished 7 chord. So yeah. The D harmonic major scale is D, E, F sharp, G, A sharp, C sharp, and D. So D, E, F sharp, the major third, G, A sharp, C sharp, D. So let's try to play over the chords C major 7, C sharp diminished 7, and D minor 7. So the line I just played is a G here on the C major 7. So we have a chord tone, and we have the 7th, a chord tone more, and the 3rd, a chord tone more. So actually it's a E minor triad where we play it from G, so first inversion. And then we have the G again, the 5 of the C major 7. So now we play the new note, the F sharp, which defines that we have a major D harmonic major scale, and the F sharp is 11th, and it goes into the flat 5, the chord tone of C sharp diminished 7, and then we have double flat 7, another chord tone, and then the flat 6, the A, and we have flat 5, the G, and the 11th, which resolve to F, the flat 3 of D minor 7. So the last scale to cover is the C sharp diminished whole half scale. So if we compare the two scales, they have the same notes, C sharp, the E, and the G, and the A, and the A sharp, and the C.
but the D and the F sharp are not the same, because we have a D sharp here and a F sharp here, and here it's a D and here it's a F in the primary 8-tone scale. So 2 avoid notes here, and there is no avoid notes in this scale here. If we compare it with the D harmonic minor scale, there is also the D and the F, and here we have D sharp and F sharp, but they share the C sharp and they share the E and they share the G and the A sharp and the C sharp, but there is no C in this scale here as we have here. And the next scale to compare is the D harmonic major scale. So a difference here is that we have a D here and we have the D sharp here, and 2 notes that are the same are the F sharps, so no avoid notes here, they share that, and the E and the G and the A and the A sharp and the C sharp are the same, but as in the harmonic minor scale, there is no C in the D harmonic major scale.
Let's try to cover this last scale here, the C sharp diminished whole half scale. So you can play it here from the 4th fret. So slowly. So it's the same pattern you play. This scale is different from the other scales as we just covered, and it's because it does not have the avoid notes D and the F. Now the D is a D sharp and the F is a F sharp. So just let us try to play the old D and the old F, and then let's try to change the notes, and let's try to hear if we can hear a difference. So first the D over the C sharp diminished 7 chord, D sharp, D, and the F, and the F sharp. You can also try to play the D here, D sharp, so D sharp, F sharp, and D and F. So the conclusion on this lesson here is that we have 4 scales that we can use over diminished chords, and in this lesson we covered C sharp diminished in a progression where we had C major 7 and C sharp diminished 7, D minor 7, and we can therefore use the C sharp primary diminished scale, and we can use the D harmonic minor scale and the D harmonic major scale and the C sharp diminished whole half scale. So 4 scales. And as we just covered, the most safe scale to use is the C sharp whole half diminished scale, especially if you are playing some long notes, but you can use all the scales. So it's also a choice of taste, and I think a good idea is to experiment with all the lines that I showed you, and try to experiment with the scales. And you can also mix the scales. Just try to experiment, and what sounds good for you is good. So let's just make the last line with a C sharp diminished whole half scale.
The line I just played in relation to C major 7 here is that the B is the 7th and the G is the 5th and E is the 3rd and C is the root of this chord. And the C sharp diminished 7, we have C sharp, the root, D sharp, the 9th, the flat 3 is the E, and the 11th, the F sharp, which resolves to F, the flat 3. So now we have the 9th, the D sharp, and the F sharp, which will say no avoid notes. We don't play a D and we don't play a F sharp here. If you would like to see more videos in the future, remember to subscribe to my channel.